Good morning, Deputy.
Good morning, sir. We're gonna need a Spanish interpreter this morning.
Okay, I'm gonna ask Miss Moultrie um, to see if we can get someone. Who is the individual that needs the interpreter?
What's your name? Jose Luis, sir.
Okay. What we're gonna probably have to do is put him on the second group because I assume we're having two groups today because of the size of the calendar.
Yes, sir, we are. Go back. Put him back. Yes, sir. All right, sir, we can get started then. We're gonna put him back. He said he's fine.
Okay, and we have a private attorney for Mr. Hearn, Ajun Hearn. So what I'm gonna ask is, after I'm done reading the script, before we do the ladies, to just do Mr. Hearn so Mr. Ford can go about his business.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. This is your first appearance hearing before the Magistrate Court of Clayton County. My name is Brad Gardner, and I'm a judge in this court. I'm not here to conduct a trial of your case or to take a plea in your case. I'm here to inform you of the charges that have been filed against you, to advise you of certain rights, to set bail on those offenses that I am authorized to set bail, to schedule a preliminary hearing, and to determine whether you require the assistance of an attorney. You have the right to remain silent and say nothing. But should you give up this right, anything you say during this proceeding may be used against you if your case goes to trial. So please don't discuss the facts of your case. During this and all other proceedings, you have the following rights: the right to the right to the presumption of innocence, the right to indictment by a grand jury for most felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors, the right to a speedy and public trial by jury, the right to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you, the right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your behalf, the right to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense, the right to have an attorney represent you. If you cannot afford an attorney, one can be appointed to represent you if you qualify. Some of you will be allowed to post unrestricted bonds for your release from jail, which may be cash, commercial, or property. If you post a cash bond, someone will deliver the full amount of the bond and fees in cash to the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office will hold the cash and return it at the end of the case. If you use a commercial bonding company, someone will have to pay a fee to the company for their service. The fee will not be returned. I don't know what fee will be charged, but it's usually based on a percentage of the bond. Finally, if you use property to post a bond, the property will need to have net equity in an amount equal to 3 times the total amount of the bond. Some of you will have special conditions on your bond that prohibit you from contacting certain people or going to certain places. You will also be prohibited from contacting the victim while you are in jail. If you violate the court's order, your bond will be revoked and you could remain in jail until your trial. You could also receive additional felony charges. It is important to note that if someone is listed as a victim in your case, that person will not be allowed to post your bond. Some of you are charged with offenses for which this court is not authorized by law to set bail. In this event, a bond hearing will be scheduled before a judge of the Superior Court of Clayton County, and you will be informed of that date. If you are currently on active probation, this court is not authorized to set bond at this time. where the bond is appropriate in your case will be reconsidered after your probation officer has had an opportunity to consider this new arrest. The purpose of a preliminary hearing is to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to support the allegations against you. This- The standard at this stage is very low. A judge determining whether a charge goes forward at this stage only has to determine that it is possible that the crime occurred. Everyone has the ability to waive their right to a preliminary hearing. However, you should speak to a lawyer first if you are unsure about whether it is appropriate to waive your preliminary hearing. If you post bond, your preliminary hearing is waived. You will receive notice at the address you give of your next court date. So now I'm going to need everyone to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that any statements that you make during this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. So once you're ready, we can start with Mr. Hearn.
If, Your Honor, Mr. Hammond and Mr. Salazar, they are on medical quarantine. So we would have to break down and go reset back up.
Okay, so we'll do that at the end, Hammond and Salazar.
Hammonds and Salazar.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Ford.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right, one moment, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Ford, just so you know, you're the first attorney that I've had in the 2 weeks that I've been back here on the Zoom call. So I am not certain if I will have the ability to have a breakout if you need to discuss anything with your client. I'm going to address you and just let your client know that I'm addressing you with respect to this. I have set a bond in his case at $15,000.
Then you don't need to hear from me. We are done and satisfied. I've sent his mother the link.
Okay.
And told her to keep her video and audio on silent. This is the first chance I've had the opportunity to be with Clayton County Mag Court at the first appearance hearings. It was a little bit of a challenge to get the information, but it seems to have worked out well enough.
Yeah, that's something that we're gonna have to work on. My understanding is that the link that's posted on the
Right.
on the website does not work.
It tells the lawyer that they're not authorized. So you've got to
Right.
call in to Judge Hill's office and go from there.
Who was that first individual, Your Honor?
Adjun Hearn, AJUAN, last name HEARN.
Adjua Hearn. Okay, one moment, Your Honor.
And I'll repeat this when he gets here, but there's a preliminary hearing date set for March 3rd for Mr. Hearn.
But he weighs once he bonds out, right?
Yes.
The courthouse in Clayton, is it still closed up?
It's still closed. There's been discussion about putting what they call a pod, like having a computer location.
In
That's
the lobby
available.
area?
Yeah. But with the way things are going, we really don't know. In the future, there is a link, like this is going live on YouTube. So we give the links to the lawyers because sometimes family members don't follow the direction of lawyers. So there is a public location that this is streaming to now. You may be able to see it on your end where it says live on YouTube.
Yes.
Now, the older I get, the less computer proficient I become. So I cannot.
As well. I've got you on age. So.
Mr. Hearn?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Because you have a lawyer here, Mr. Ford, I'm going to communicate with Mr. Ford directly. And unfortunately, I don't believe there's a situation where there can be a breakout where you can be able to speak to him directly. So just know that anything that you say is being broadcast live, okay?
Yes, sir.
You've been charged with 1 count of trafficking in marijuana. I've set a bond in that case at $15,000. Will you be able to post that bond?
Yes, sir.
He will, Your Honor, yes.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Mr. Ford, it's just a habit of
I understand.
directly to the individual. I see that you've hired an attorney. I've informed Mr. Ford that you have a preliminary hearing date set for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. and that's over a Zoom link also. If you bond out, that preliminary hearing date is going to be waived and you will receive information in the mail as to the next court date. I'm going to also set a bond hearing date for March 5th at 8:30 a.m. and that also will be by Zoom. But that's only if you're unable to post a bond. And I set those bond hearing dates pretty regularly just because we're in this COVID period and court dates are pushed out. And I just prefer to have a new date set rather than trying to go through the whole process. Mr. Ford, is there anything that you want to address with the court?
No, Your Honor, thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay. Mr. Hearn, you are free to go back.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good seeing you.
Have a good day, Mr. Hurt.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Ford, sorry.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
I have a question. No, you should ask the question when you're talking, right? Put your hands on the wall, man. You can talk to your lawyer at another time.
Okay.
All right, Your Honor, you ready for the females or you want to do the second group?
I'm ready for the females.
All right. Next name to the judge.
Good morning, ma'am. Are you Miss Eubanks?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Miss Eubanks, you've been charged with 1 count of trafficking in marijuana. I've set your bond at $15,000 also. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
I've set a preliminary hearing date for you for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be over a Zoom link, just like we have here. Do you believe that you will hire your own attorney? Will you represent yourself, or do you want me to consider if you're eligible for the appointment of a lawyer?
I'm gonna hire my own attorney.
Okay. I'm going to also set your bond hearing date for March 5th at 8:30
Yes, sir.
a.m. and that'll be a Zoom link also, and that's just in case you are unable to bond out. Do you have any questions of me, Ms. Eubanks?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you, sir.
Let's go, man. Let's go. Somebody else step up.
Your Honor, can I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Will Your Honor be submitting the bond order to the jail? Do I need to submit one myself?
No, sir. I will submit it there's a stack of paperwork that I have, and as soon as the hearings are over, I separate everything out and I email it over to the jail.
That's what I assumed. I didn't want to assume incorrectly though. So thank
No,
you, Your Honor.
no problem. You're welcome.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Good morning, ma'am. What's your name?
Hi, Mary Hawthorne.
Ms. Hawthorne, you've been charged with one offense, and it's criminal damage to property. And you've been charged with a felony. I've set a bond at $5,000 for that. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
Huh?
I've set a bond for $5,000. Do you believe you can post that bond? Okay.
So it'll be like 500 at a bond place, right?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Generally, that that range, like I indicated before, I don't know exactly what each bonding company charge. The sheriff's office has a list of people who are authorized to write bonds in this county. You can call them and they will tell you what fee they will charge.
Okay.
Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Or,
Yes.
okay. And give me a second, I have to go through these forms to find your form. Okay, it looks like you qualify, Ms. Hawthorne. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. You have a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be over Zoom link. Do you have any questions of me, ma'am?
No.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Okay.
You're welcome. Good morning, ma'am. What's your name?
Good morning, I'm Lena LaShawn Barton Pastor, sir.
Okay, ma'am, you've been charged with one count of criminal trespass and is charged as a misdemeanor. I've set your bond at $1,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
Actually, sir, I don't myself believe that I can post it. If there's a way that I can be released without paying a bond at all, that would be superb.
At this time, Chief Judge Keisha Wright Hill is not allowing us to set those bonds, those OR bonds. So I'm unable to set a bond for that. I see that the charge was that you refused to leave the MARTA station at the airport.
No, sir, that's not what happened. I called an ambulance
Uh-huh.
and they called an ambulance for me, the authorities, and then they canceled the ambulance. So I merely went back to the place where they initially provided assistance so that I could gain assistance, and they refused to assist me. And so it was a power play, I guess. And so they decided that instead of calling an ambulance for me again, that they would prefer to arrest this innocent Black woman.
It says that they gave you a warning not to come back. And unfortunately, if they did give you that warning and you came back, that does form the basis of a criminal trespass. Now, it could be plenty of defenses and reasons as to why that happened. But at this stage, my job is really just to set the bond so that you can move on, and also to determine if you would need the assistance of a lawyer.
Well, sir, I am currently estranged from my husband, and I recently was in an accident at the MARTA station where I had my arm amputated. So I was needing assistance instead of harassment. And they provided the latter. That's just all there is to it. They just did not want to hear me. They called themselves calling an ambulance, and then they canceled the ambulance. And so they wanted me to stay outside with an open wound. I have a skin graft on my right arm, an amputation on my, skin graft on my right leg, amputation on my right arm that has infection. And I simply needed to go to the hospital. I did not expect, they were apparently transporting people to the Ramada, and I had missed the last shuttle allegedly. And they just, I was not the average individual out there, and they just simply would not, again, assist me. They just did not want to. I didn't have a phone on me that was working.
Uh-huh.
And I could not call an ambulance myself. And so the people that I thought would help me, that could help me, did not. But I was not barred. I just simply went back so that I could get assistance. They demanded that I go back outside. And I told them that I was not in a position to be subject to those elements. And they didn't care. They didn't care. All I wanted to do was go to the hospital. But I am indigent, I guess that's what it's called.
Right.
My husband, I guess he has a place of his own. I guess he works. I guess I could call him if you all would allow me a telephone call. I guess I could call him to see if he could provide me with $150 so I could be released.
Let me ask you this first. You do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer, ma'am. Would you like for me to appoint a lawyer to represent you?
I'm trying to get out of jail. I mean, whichever.
The appointment of the lawyer has nothing to do with your getting out of jail.
Okay, yes, sir. Please.
Okay, so I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. When you go back down after this, they will allow you to use a telephone. It's not going to be like you get back down and you immediately demand to use a telephone, okay? They have their processes that they have to go through. So you'll be able to contact your husband. If your husband is going to be inclined to help you, there is a list of bonding companies that the sheriff's office has. They will give you the names of the companies that will write bonds, so you can provide that information to your husband so he can help you, okay?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any other questions of me, ma'am?
No, sir. I thank you for your time.
You're welcome. You're free to go back.
Now, Tim, Ms. Tim. Welcome. Back here.
Good morning, ma'am. What's your name?
Zakia Walker.
Ms. Walker, you've been charged with 1 count of trafficking in methamphetamine and 1 count of possession of cocaine. I've set the bond for the trafficking in methamphetamine at $10,000, and I've set the bond for the possession of cocaine at $5,000 for a total bond of $15,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've also set a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. in courtroom 201, but that'll be over a Zoom link like we have here.
Yes, sir.
Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer, representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I think
Okay. Do you have any other questions of me, ma'am?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Williams, Ms. Williams.
Good morning, Ms. Weems.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, you've been charged with one count of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, possession of a THE vape pen, driving a vehicle with a concealed tag or concealing the ID of a motor vehicle. That bond is automatically set at $5,000. And you've also been charged with operating the vehicle with an altered VIN, vehicle identification number. And it was saying that the true vehicle identification number, it was coming up as the vehicle possibly being stolen. So I've set a bond for $20,000 on that. And that brings you a total bond of $30,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've also set a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And it's gonna say courtroom 201, but it's gonna be over a Zoom link. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer, representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I'll be hiring a lawyer.
Okay. Do you have any questions of me, ma'am?
No, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're free to go back.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, ma'am. What's your name?
Good morning. My name is Lakeria Williams.
Williams.
Yes, sir.
You've been charged with one count of murder, one count of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and one count of possession of a weapon during the commission of a crime. I am not allowed to set a bond for those charges at this point. But I have set a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And I'm also setting a bond date for March 5th at 8:30 a.m. And both of those are going to be over a Zoom hearing like we're having today. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You do qualify, ma'am, so I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back. Give me your name, sir.
My name is Wise, Tara Wise.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I apologize.
No problem.
Ms. Wise, you've been charged with one count of trafficking marijuana. I've set the bond for $15,000 for that. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
Yes, I was trying to, yes.
Okay. And do you plan on hiring your own lawyer, representing yourself, or would you like me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
You can see if I qualify.
Okay.
I have to try to hire one.
You do qualify, ma'am. So I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. You have a preliminary hearing date set for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. and that'll be over this Zoom link. You find out that date most likely is going to be waived and changed to a different date. I'm
Okay,
also setting a bond hearing date for March 5th
okay,
in case you do not bond out.
okay.
But if you bond out, of course, that date is going to be waived also. Do you have any questions of me, ma'am?
No, will I receive something in writing pertaining to this about the next court hearing? Will I receive something in writing pertaining to the next preliminary hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Anything else?
No, no, sir. Thank you so much.
All right, you can go back.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Your Honor, I think that will conclude the females.
Yes, sir.
Step in. Yes, sir, that will conclude the females. So you want to go from top to bottom?
Yes, sir.
All right, sounds good. Stand by for me 1 second.
Okay.
Mexico. No, sir, you cannot take the Mexico. James Bembry.
Okay. What was the last name? I'm sorry.
Bembry. B-E.
Okay. Mr. Bembry, you've been charged with 1 count of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, possession of a felony amount of marijuana, which is more than an ounce, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and possession with intent to distribute as it relates to the marijuana. I've set a bond at $5,000 for the felony possession of marijuana count, $5,000 for possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and $10,000 for possession with intent to distribute the marijuana, which brings a total bond of $20,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes.
Okay. I've also set a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. and that'll be over Zoom like we're having here today. Now, do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I'm gonna hire my own lawyer.
Okay. Do you have any questions of me, Mr. Bembry? Okay, you're free to go back.
Good morning, Judge. Chad Brown.
Good morning, Mr. Brown.
How you doing today?
I'm doing well. So you've been charged with 6 different offenses. And I've set bond in all of them, okay?
Yes, sir.
So the tenant window violation, bond is automatically set at $500 for that.
Yes, sir.
The possession charge, excuse me, I'm setting a bond at $5,000 for that. There's another VGCA charge with his possession with intent. I'm setting the bond at $10,000 for that. The possession of the Schedule 2 drug, I'm setting the bond at $5,000 for that. And the Schedule 2, as they're saying, appeals. The restricted license charge, the bond is automatically set at $500 for that. And the financial transaction card theft charge, I'm setting the bond at $5,000 for that. That brings a total bond of $26,000. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir. I think I could.
Okay. I've also set a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. and that'll be over Zoom call like we're doing here today. Now, do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm gonna have you a lawyer, sir.
Okay. Do you have any other questions for me, Mr. Brown?
No, sir. No questions at all.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. What's your name, sir?
George Hurt.
Okay.
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Mr. Hurd?
Trying to get better.
I understand. All right. So you've been charged with 4 offenses, Mr. Hurd. Driving a vehicle with the expired or invalid tag. The bond is automatically set at $500 for that. You have 2 drug charges, possession of marijuana over an ounce, which makes it a felony, and possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute. And you've also been charged with drug-related possession of drug-related object. There's a $5,000 bond set for the felony marijuana charge. There's a $10,000 bond set for possession with intent to distribute, and a $1,500 bond for the use of drug-related objects. And that brings your total bond to $17,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I want to represent myself.
Okay. I'm setting a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And I'm going to set a bond hearing date for March 5th at 8:30 a.m. And both of those will be over the Zoom call. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, no.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thanks.
Oh, that's state your name.
Jody Johnson.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, I don't know why they keep bringing you back, adding charges and bringing you back and adding charges and bringing you back. But you are, these new charges, give me 1 second, I apologize. All right. So according to what I have today, there are 3 additional warrants that have been issued. 2 of them are possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and 1 is possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. I'm going to have to look into this when we're done, because there are a number of charges that you have. Yesterday, I appointed you a lawyer, and I received another form today. It looks like the one that you may have filled out before that you were telling me about, because it says on here that your mother was looking into hiring a lawyer. So I'm going to keep with the appointment that I made yesterday, and I'm going to make a notation here. And as I told you yesterday, if your mother is able to hire a lawyer, then you can go with that lawyer. So none of this kind of prevents you from doing what you want to do. I'm going to set the preliminary hearing date the same as I set it on yesterday, but I'm going to have to go back because I believe it was March 1st that I set it for, but I just want to make sure that it's consistent and that all of this is dealt with at the same time, and you're not just out there having different court dates when they all should be consolidated. Do you have any questions of me?
Can you explain those 3 charges again?
Okay. The first one, the warrant number ends in 228 and is possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. And it says that you unlawfully possessed a firearm during an armed robbery offense, and that you had previously been convicted of burglary in the 2nd degree. Now, the thing that I'm going to have to look into, I don't know if they're alleging that you've just been out there with several different armed robbery offenses, and so they're just tacking them to each armed robbery offense. I don't know that. If this is all related to one offense, then you can't obviously be charged with possessing more than one firearm as a convicted felon for one offense. But this first one that ends in 228, it says that the crime allegedly occurred on January 8th at 8240 Tara Boulevard. So let's look at the next one. Okay, the next one alleges that the crime occurred on December 23rd at 184 North Avenue in Jonesboro. So under that theory, 2 different days, 2 different possessing guns, you can be lawfully charged with each one of those. And then the last warrant that ends in 230, this one says possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and it's for the January 8th date at the 8240 Tar Boulevard address. So at least with these 3 warrants, they have 2 separate offenses that they're alleging. Okay? Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
How you doing? My name is Michael Johnson Jr.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, you've been charged with 1 count of trafficking marijuana. And it's again at the airport. I'm setting the bond at $15,000 as the way I did, I think, on the other 3 or 4. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
And do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I'm gonna hire a lawyer, sir.
Okay, I've set a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. and that's over the Zoom call. But if you bond out, that date is going to be changed. Do you have any?
Correct.
I'm sorry?
They will give me paperwork, correct? If the
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. They have, let me see. They will send the paperwork to the address that you gave them when you were bonded in, okay?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Any other questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right, you're free to go back.
To Corey, no.
Okay. Hey, Mr. Knox, you've been charged with 1 count. They're both misdemeanors, 1 misdemeanor count of obstructing an officer and 1 misdemeanor count of obscuring a license plate. The bond for the obscuring the license plate charge is set at $500. The bond for obstructing an officer is set at $1,500 for a total bond of $2,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. I've set a preliminary hearing date for February 23rd at 8:30 a.m. That'll be over a Zoom call, but that date will be waived if you bond out. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself?
You say that again?
The preliminary hearing date that I've set, once you bond out, that date is waived, but you will receive notice in the mail of a new date. Okay. Now, do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Myself. I'll be able to bond out today, right?
Yes, sir. Okay. Any other questions?
That's all right.
All right. You're free to go back, Mr. Knox.
How you doing today, sir? My name is George Langston III.
Good morning, Mr. Langston. You've been charged with 1 count of having no license. The bond is set automatically at $1,000 for that. You've also been charged with 1 count of failing to yield at a stop sign or light. The bond is set at $500 for that. Your total bond is $1,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
No, sir, not right now.
Not right now. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is there a way I could just pay these tickets off instead of going to court and stuff like that?
Because you've been arrested, this is the amount that is set for the bond. The ticket, like for the stop sign or yield sign, there's a $500 bond that's set, and I believe that applies to that charge. But to answer your question directly, my understanding is that these charges will go over to the solicitor's office that handles the traffic related stuff. And then they may drop it down, they may dismiss it, they may do whatever they want to do with it, but they're the ones that make that charging decision. So, for example, If you, it looks like you do qualify for a lawyer. So if your lawyer contacted the solicitor's office today, which they of course can't do because you don't have the lawyer yet, but say, look, I'm representing Mr. Langston. He's charged with these 2 offenses. We just want to pay a fine and be done with it.
All right, cause I'm trying to get up out of here ASAP.
Okay. Well, right now, the fastest way is to pay this bond. If you're saying that you want to just plead guilty to this, I mean, I can make a notation on the form that you just want to plead guilty to the charge, and they may contact you and place you on what's called like a jail calendar or something like that. But I don't know when that will be. I mean, it would be faster, but I can't tell you when that'll be. The fastest way for you to get out is to post the bond and then just deal with this.
All right.
Okay. Now you can contact the bonding company. The sheriff's office has a list of bonding companies that are approved to write bonds in this county, and just tell them what you're charged with, and they may work with you. I'm sure they will work with you. Some bonding companies, they charge, like, put you on a payment plan. So it's not a situation where you got, if you don't have $1,500 in your pocket, that you have to sit in jail. There are ways to get out.
So contact the bonding company?
Yes, sir.
All right, yes, sir, cool, I'll do that.
Okay, so I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you, and make sure you contact those bonding companies and explore all your options.
All right, yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions?
No, sir.
All right, you're free to go back. Give me 1 second, Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, you're charged with 2 offenses: giving a false name, address, or date of birth, and obstructing an officer. I've set a bond for each of those at $2,000. It gives you a total bond of $4,000. You believe you can post that bond?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there is also an indication that you were wanted out of Gwinnett County on a violation of probation. So you need to be aware that when you post this bond, they're going to send you to Gwinnett County unless you can have somebody to deal with the violation of probation warrant while you're here. Okay? I've set a preliminary hearing date for February 23rd at 8:30 a.m. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Or are you going to represent yourself, or are you going to hire a lawyer? Okay. Do you have any other questions of me, Mr. Moore? Okay, you're free to go back. Mr. Mullins, you've been charged with 4 offenses. Improper return or signal. The bond is automatically set at $500 for that. You've been charged with the possession of marijuana more than an ounce. That makes it a felony. I've set a bond at $5,000 for that charge. You've also been charged with driving without a license. Have a bond set at $500. And you've been charged with possession with intent to distribute as it relates to the marijuana. And I've set a bond at $10,000 for that. That brings you a total bond of $16,000. You believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, do you plan on hiring your own lawyer, representing yourself, or do you want me to, I'm sorry?
That's it. I'm sorry.
Do you
Appointed
plan,
lawyer.
you want me to see if you qualify?
Yes, sir.
Okay. While I'm looking for the form, Mr. Mullins, I've also set a preliminary hearing date for you for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be over a Zoom call like we are doing today. Okay, Mr. Mullins, it looks like you do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer, so I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you.
Thanks.
Do you have any questions for me, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Mullins, you're free to go back.
Reginald Patterson.
Mr. Patterson, you've been charged with 1 count of theft by taking as a misdemeanor. The bond is set at $2,000 for that. Do you believe you can post that bond?
I've already talked to a bail bond, so my bond should be posted.
Okay. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I represent myself.
Okay, you're free to go back. Oh, well, I'm sorry. Let me give you, I've set a bond for, a preliminary hearing for February 23rd at 8:30 a.m. That'll be by Zoom, but that date will be automatically waived once you bond out. Okay? All right, you're free to go back.
Joshua Porter.
Mr. Porter, you've been charged with 1 count of trafficking in marijuana. I've set your bond at $15,000, the way that I did the other individuals. Do you believe you can post that bond? Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer, representing yourself, hire your own lawyer? Okay. You have a preliminary hearing date set for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. That's going to be over a Zoom call, but that date will be waived once you bond out. Do you understand that? Okay. Do you have any questions for me, Mr. Porter? Okay, you're free to go back. Mr. Radford, you've been charged with 3 offenses. 1 is possession of marijuana over an ounce, which makes it a felony. I've set the bond at $5,000 for that. You've also been charged with possession with intent to distribute as it relates to that marijuana, and that's a $10,000 bond. And you've been charged with possession of drug-related objects, which it appears to be, they're talking about a scale. And the bond is set at $1,500. So you have a total bond of $16,500. Do you believe you can post that bond?
You said 16,000.
16,500.
So that's with a bond company, how much would that be?
I don't know the exact number, but it's generally around 10% of the bond. Some bonding companies, they'll put you on payment plans. They all got different things that they do. The sheriff's department has a list of the bonding companies that are approved to write bonds in this this county. So you can call those companies and speak to them, tell them what you're charged with, and they'll tell you what fee they'll charge. Okay, so because you have 2 felony offenses, I've set a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
See if I qualify.
Okay. And that preliminary hearing date is going to be over Zoom, the way that we're doing it here today. Okay, Mr. Radford, it looks like you do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Dante Smith.
Give me 1 second, Mr. Smith. Okay, thank you for your patience. Tell me your name again, sir.
Andre Smith.
Okay, Mr. Smith, you've been charged with 2 offenses, simple battery and criminal trespass, damage to property. I've set the bond at $2,500 for each of those offenses, which brings a total bond of $5,000. But I've also put a stay away condition on the bond to stay away from a Shanetta Harris. Do you believe you can post this bond, sir?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
The hotel that I was at, the window, we paid for the window to get fixed. He said he gonna drop the charges. I don't know what's going on. But he said he gonna drop the charges though.
Okay. That's something that there's, I guess, 2 ways that goes. He's going to have to either, well, you do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer. Do you want me to appoint a lawyer for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So your lawyer can reach out to this individual and have him to sign something that says that he doesn't want to prosecute. And the lawyer can provide that to the solicitor's office, and then they don't have to, but they generally will dismiss the charge. This other charge, a simple battery, that's going to be something the lawyer is going to have to deal with separately from the motel. Okay. I'm setting a preliminary hearing date for February 23rd at 8:30 a.m. and that's over the Zoom process. You should also contact bonding companies. Sheriff's Office has a list of the bonding companies that are authorized to write bonds, and contact them to see what they will charge for you to get out. Because you shouldn't just accept that you're going to have to sit here. Bonding companies sometimes will allow put people on payment plans. They will work with people to get them out.
If I don't bond out, I have to sit here till February 23rd, basically.
Yes, basically. Now, your lawyer, my understanding is that they're working at, meaning the solicitor's office and the DA's office, that they're working on a schedule of trying to work stuff out in advance because of this whole virus stuff. So that date is a date that will be set. And if nothing changes, you will show up on that date. But there are things that can change between now and then.
I appreciate it.
Okay, free to go back.
You said my bond was 5,000, right?
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Good morning.
Mr. Tillman.
Okay, Mr. Tillman, give me 1 second. Okay, Mr. Tillman, you've been charged with 1 count of theft by receiving stolen property, that being a 2020 Jaguar, theft by deception, and the attempt to try to sell this Jaguar to CarMax, and possession of firearm during the commission of a crime. Bond is going to be denied at this stage for these 3 offenses, but I've set a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And I'm going to also set a bond hearing date for March 5th at 8:30. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer? Do you want me to see if you qualify for a lawyer, or are you going to represent yourself? Okay.
I got a question though.
Yes, sir.
Why was I denied bond?
Well, that is being denied under my discretion. This vehicle was alleged to have been stolen out of South Carolina. The VINs changed and then brought here. with an attempt to sell it. I just believe that at this point, I'm not comfortable in setting a bond.
I actually bought the car, like I won the car and I registered the car, so.
You said you won the car?
Yeah, and I registered the car. So when I registered the car, ain't nobody said it was stolen or nothing until I came to sell it. So
Okay, Mr. Tillman, you do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer, and I can appoint a lawyer to represent you. That information that you just gave me is something that you need to give to the lawyer, because the lawyer can then show that you may have been an honest owner of the vehicle. That's something that I can't make that determination today.
all right.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, that's it.
Okay, you're free to go back.
How you doing, Dennis Williams?
Good morning. What's your name, sir?
Dennis Williams.
Dennis Williams. Mr. Williams, you've been charged with one count of simple battery and one count of aggravated assault. For some reason, I did not see your criminal history. So I'm setting a bond on this aggravated assault charge at $10,000. And I'm setting a bond for the simple battery at $2,500. The reason that I'm setting this bond, and I'm telling you this about the criminal history, had there been any proof or evidence that you were either convicted of aggravated assault before, or that you were on probation or parole for aggravated assault, burglary, rape, or any of those serious crimes, I would not be allowed to set a bond. The allegation here is one that is close to the line as it relates to aggravated assault or terroristic threat, but the officer charged aggravated assault and it fits within the elements. So I have to set a bond, or I have to have this charge to remain. So you have a total bond, well, the bond on the simple battery of $2,500. And I set a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from Edward Jenkins. So you have a total bond of $12,500. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've set a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be over a Zoom call like we're doing here today. Now, do you plan on representing yourself, hiring your own lawyer, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Okay. You said you're going to hire your own? Okay, you're free to go back, Mr. Williams. You're Mr. Wortham?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you've been charged with one count of violation of controlled substance, meaning possession of methamphetamine. I've set the bond at $5,000 for that. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've also set a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. It says Zoom, it says room 201, but it's going to be in a Zoom hearing like this. If you post bond, that preliminary hearing date is going to be waived. Do you plan on representing yourself, hiring your own lawyer? Or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of lawyer? Okay. Okay, Mr. Wortham, you do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Quantez Talavera.
Okay, give me 1 second, sir. Mr. Talaveras, you've been charged with 1 count of trafficking in methamphetamine. It's a felony. The bond's going to be set at $10,000 for that. You've been charged with 1 count of possession of cocaine. The bond is going to be set at $5,000 for that. And you've been charged with 1 count of theft by receiving stolen property being a firearm. The bond is going to be set at $5,000 for that, which brings a total bond of $20,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
How much would that be if I go to a bond company?
I don't know the exact figure. They generally charge somewhere around 10%. Each bonding company does things a little bit differently. The sheriff's office has a list of bonding companies approved to write bonds in this county. I would suggest you contact them, tell them what you're charged with, and they will tell you what fee they'll charge. Some bonding companies even put people on payment plans. So it varies. That's a short way of saying it varies, but it'll generally be around that amount.
I have one more question.
Yes, sir.
What if I wasn't even part of the altercation? I had literally just pulled up because they were looking for somebody else and took me instead.
It looks as though I've seen a number of people arrested as it relates to this address.
It was only 3.
Okay. The short answer is that, and I actually think it may have been more, because at least what I've read, some person may have run to this address and that's how everybody else may have been arrested. But that's the kind of thing that your lawyer would take care of. If you simply pulled up and you were just thrown in a dragnet with everybody else, that's why lawyers are there, to make sure that their clients' rights are protected. So if you plan on hiring a lawyer, that lawyer will deal with it. If you want, I can see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer, or you can also represent yourself.
Can you appoint me one?
Okay, let me see. And while I'm looking for the form, you're going to have a preliminary hearing date of March 3rd. That date is going to be automatically waived if you bond out. You do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer. So I will appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any other questions of me, sir?
No, that's it.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay, Mr. Fambro, you've been charged with 1 count of violation of Georgia seatbelt law. Bond is automatically set at $500 for that. 1 count of failing to stop or yield at a stop sign. The bond is automatically set at $500 for that. And then you're being charged with fleeing from a police officer. The bond is going to be set at $2,000, which brings a total bond of $3,000. Do you believe you can post that bond? Okay. Because these are all misdemeanors, you're going to have a preliminary hearing date set at February 23rd, but that date will be automatically waived once you bond out. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Can you see what I qualify for one?
Sure.
And you said that fleeing ain't no felony.
No, they charged you. Oh, I'm sorry. They did charge you as a felony. That's a mistake that I made. So your preliminary hearing date is going to change to March 3rd at 8:30 a.m.
And born 3,000.
Yeah. You know what? I'm actually going to dismiss. I'm going to mark this as a misdemeanor.
Yes, sir.
They made it a felony, but the way that they charged it is actually a misdemeanor. So that date is going to stay at March. I'm sorry, February 23rd. That's for it to be a felony, you have to. I'm sorry, Ms. Fambro. I was thinking of obstruction, not fleeing. It is a felony. I'm sorry. So it's going to be March 3rd at 8:30 a.m.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna keep the bond at 2,000.
Yes, sir, 2,000.
And you do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer. Do you want me to appoint a lawyer to represent you?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay. I'm appointing a lawyer to represent you. You got preliminary hearing date at March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. and that'll be over Zoom call. Do you have any other questions for me, sir?
No, sir, thank you. That's it.
You're free to go back. What's the last name again, sir?
Carswell.
Okay. And that was Carswell? Okay. Sir, you've been charged with trafficking and methamphetamine, possession of cocaine, theft by receiving a stolen gun, and obstruction. I'm gonna deny the bond right now on these felonies, the trafficking, the possession of cocaine, and the theft by receiving a stolen gun. The obstruction charge is going to have a $2,000 bond. I'm setting a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be over a Zoom call. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Qualified for appointment.
Okay. You do qualify, Mr. Carswell, so I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Opens up and pick a circle and face the wall. It opens on the other side of the RH1. Judge Gardner?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just give me a moment to set up the second batch, okay, for the next announcement.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Judge Gardner, when you're ready, I'm ready. This is Judge Gardner.
Yes, Deputy Knox.
Sir, Mr. ESTRADA Silva, Mr. Jose Luis, he's gonna need an interpreter.
I just sent an email. I tried calling over a couple times, but the phone call, the phone was on going to voicemail. So I sent an email to Courtney and Miss Mary.
Okay, so I'm gonna hold him to the end. I'm gonna put him back because he's not gonna understand anything that's happening. Okay, and then when you're ready for him, I can bring him back out.
Okay, because I think I was also told that Salazar and one other person.
Who's Salazar? Is there Salazar here?
And
No, sir, I don't know. There's no Salazar responding.
They sent them back from the first group.
Okay.
I was told Hammond and Salazar needed interpreters.
You
So
said
we're gonna-
Hammond?
yeah,
Hammond speaks English. Yeah, Hammond speaks English. sir.
I'm sorry. I'm so confused, Deputy Knox. Hammond and Salazar, they were in quarantine.
Yes.
So
No, sir, they weren't in quarantine, sir. They were in medical. Mr. Hammond is here. The only person that's not here is Mr. Salazar.
okay.
So I'm gonna put Mr. Estra da Silva back for a moment, and when you're ready for him, I'll bring him back out, okay?
Okay, and check on Salazar too, because I'm sorry,
Okay.
my brain is not working today, but I think he also speaks Spanish.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll check for him. But we could get started with the ones we have now, okay?
Okay.
The remainder.
Okay,
Okay, they're ready for you.
all right. Good morning, everyone. This is your first appearance hearing before the Magistrate Court of Clayton County. My name is Brad Gardner, and I'm a judge in this court. I'm not here to conduct a trial of your case or to take a plea in your case. I'm here to inform you of the charges that have been filed against you, to advise you of certain rights, to set bail on those offenses that I'm authorized to set bail, to schedule a preliminary hearing, and to determine whether you require the assistance of an attorney. You have the right to remain silent and say nothing, but should you give up this right, anything you say during this proceeding may be used against you if your case goes to trial. So please don't discuss the facts of your case. During this and all other proceedings, you have the following rights: the right to the presumption of innocence, the right to indictment by a grand jury for most felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors, the right to a speedy and public trial by jury, the right to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you, the right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your behalf, the right to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense, the right to have an attorney represent you. If you cannot afford an attorney, one can be appointed to represent you if you qualify. Some of you will be allowed to post unrestricted bonds for your release. This bond may be cash, commercial, or property. If you post a cash bond, someone will deliver the full amount of the bond and fees in cash to the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office will hold the cash and return it at the end of the case. If you use a commercial bonding company, someone will have to pay a fee to the company for their service. The fee will not be returned. I do not know what fee will be charged, but it's usually based on a percentage of the bond. Finally, if you use property to post bond, the property will have to have a net equity in an amount equal to 3 times the total amount of the bond. Some of you will have special conditions on your bond that prohibit you from contacting certain people or going to certain places. This special condition will be provided to you in a separate form. You will also be prohibited from contacting the victim while you are in jail. If you violate the court's order, your bond will be revoked and you could remain in jail until your trial. You could also receive additional felony charges. It is important to note that if someone is listed as a victim in your case, that person will not be allowed to post your bond. Some of you are charged with offenses for which this court is not authorized by law to set bail. In this event, a bond hearing will be scheduled before a judge of the Superior Court of Clayton County, and you will be informed of that date. If you are currently on active probation, this court is not authorized to set bond at this time. Whether bond is appropriate in your case will be reconsidered after your probation officer has had an opportunity to consider this new arrest. The purpose of a preliminary hearing is to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to support the allegations against you. The standard at this stage is very low. A judge determining whether a charge goes forward at this stage only has to determine that it is possible that the crime occurred. Everyone has the ability to waive their right to a preliminary hearing. However, you should speak to a lawyer first if you are unsure about whether it is appropriate to waive your preliminary hearing. If you post bond, your preliminary hearing is automatically waived. You will receive notice at the address you give of your next court date. Okay, I need everyone to raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm any statements you make during this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God? Okay, I'm ready, Deputy Knox.
Okay, one moment, sir.
Okay,
All right. And Judge Gardner,
yes,
in regards to Mr. Salazar, he's in quarantine. So we
okay,
can possibly do him at the end. So we do everybody we have here first, okay?
yes, ma'am.
All right, one moment.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'm John Hammond. Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Hammond. Mr. Hammond, you're charged with one count of criminal damage to property in the second degree. It's a felony. And it appears that you are on probation or parole.
No, sir, I'm not.
Let me look.
One at a time, come to the door.
I know for a fact I'm not.
Okay, give me a second. Because what I have to go on is what's on your criminal history.
Okay, I paid that amount.
Nobody else want to send? Yes or no, ladies? You want to send? Wait, did you? You want one? Come and get it.
I paid the amount to take care of the rest of it. Oh, sorry, sir.
No, unfortunately, I'm going back to look just to make certain, but I have to go by what's on the criminal history that I'm looking at.
Should be paid for it. I've been looked up, Your Honor, several times by Ackworth Police on other issues, and they never, I never have, I paid that amount to take care of the remainder of my condition.
That's what they said.
Give me a second. Okay. What I'm looking at is from Cobb County Superior Court. It said you're placed on 10 years probation on in 2016. Credit for 2 years time served.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't show that as being discharged.
Okay, well, I did the that did the time, and I got the time served, and I paid a lawyer 10 grand to take care of that, and I had been re-ran through the courts on the same charge, actually. So I've done that time twice.
It's not about whether the time is done or not. It shows that you should be on probation until 2026. And I hear you're saying, hey, that's been taken care of, but it's not showing as being discharged. So I have to treat it as though you are still on probation.
Huh, I never knew that, sir. I was never told that.
There's a statute, and the statute is OCGA 1710-1. And what that statute says is that if a person is on probation, parole, or even has a suspended sentence, and they're charged with a new felony, the first judge, meaning me, I'm not allowed to set a bond. It doesn't mean you can't get a bond, but they don't allow the first judge to set the bond. So with this felony charge, I can't set a bond. If this has been discharged, meaning they've given you the paperwork to say, hey, he's no longer on probation, then a bond can be set. But because it's showing that you were placed on 10 years probation in 2016, and then there's something that shows that you were sentenced to 6 months on a probation violation in 2018 out of Cobb County. And then it says credit with time served and released the time served.
Yes, sir.
So it never shows that that probation was discharged.
I haven't checked into anybody, and no one's, like I said, I've been in contact with the law several times. They've ran my ID and never had any issues with them.
Which I understand that, and those are, police do not have to arrest you even if they can. So because they ran you and let you go, they may have made a determination at that point, well, we don't want to deal with this right now. But as a judge, if it doesn't show that it's been discharged, I have to treat it as though it's still pending. So I'm just explaining that to you so that if it has been discharged, someone has to either get the paperwork, if you have the paperwork showing that the Cobb County conviction has been discharged, or contact the probation officer. So the probation officer can send something over saying, hey, it's been discharged.
I don't know their probation officer's number. My fiance died last March 15th in a car wreck with me. She had the information. I don't have it.
Contact the lawyer that you paid the $10,000 to, because the lawyer should still have the file.
I don't have his number, sir. I have no clue what to do at this point.
Okay, well, what I can do, Mr. Hammond, at this point is I can make a determination to see whether you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer here. And I can, if you qualify, appoint that lawyer, and that lawyer can do those steps that I was just telling you. Okay? All right, you do qualify, Mr. Hammond, so I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Got to make a notation on this form that it's a 1710-1 that you said was discharged, so they will know that. You're gonna have a preliminary hearing date set for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. But if you're able to clear this up and you're released from jail, that bond hearing date is gonna be waived. I mean, I'm sorry, the preliminary hearing date is gonna be waived. So do you understand?
Yes, sir, I do. Under my condition, I do have bipolar schizoaffective. And
Okay.
that's my condition where I was locked in a cell with I lost control and I bent a door, a plexiglass, and I would have never in my life tried to do anything to try to jeopardize. I have two little girls, 2.5 years old and 5 months old, and I definitely want to be a part of their life. I would never have done something like that had I not been off my meds and not on the right meds.
Okay, I'm gonna make that notation on this form also.
The officer arrested me and told me, he said that he was going to make a special note on the side that said something about my mental health. So I'm not saying it's an excuse, but I'll tell you, I would never do anything to try to jeopardize going away for any amount of time.
Right. Okay, well, I've made that notation, Mr. Hammond, and just make sure that you tell the lawyer about your probation status. And that's the only thing that's preventing me from writing a bond for you.
Okay, I couldn't make the bond anyway, even if you did write it.
Okay.
So, I'm just prepared to sit in here until I'm done my time and then move forward.
Okay, well, if you don't have any other questions, Mr. Hammond, you're free to go back.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Come on, tell him your name.
Anna Sacramento.
Give me 1 second. Okay, Mr. I'm sorry, Nineveh.
Yeah.
You've been charged with 1 count of disorderly conduct, 1 count of simple battery, and 1 count of obstructing an officer. I've set a total bond at $5,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Not right now.
Okay. I'm gonna set a preliminary hearing date for February 23rd at 8:30 a.m. And that's gonna be over this Zoom hearing. If you're able to bond out, that date is gonna be waived.
I'm ready to turn it though.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I get one or?
Yeah, give me a second. I'm gonna pull your form up. No, I saw your form here earlier. Hmm. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm gonna use a different form. Are you currently employed?
Not right now.
Okay,
I was gonna go get my job back at Citizens Lane. And
okay. So you do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. For some reason, the form you filled out is not over here, but I have the original form.
yes.
So do you have any other questions of me, sir?
No, that's it.
Okay, you're free to go back.
All right.
Good morning.
Have your name? What's your name, sir?
Wallace Johnson.
Okay.
When it opens on the other side, go over to RH1. Face the wall. Face the wall. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
Mr. Johnson, you've been charged with 3 offenses, an open container violation. The bond is automatically set at $500 for that. DUI, less safe. The bond is set at $5,000 for that. And improper lane change for a total, as bond set at $500 for a total bond of $6,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir? Okay. I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date for February 23rd at 8:30 a.m. That's over a Zoom hearing. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Okay. You do qualify, Mr. Johnson, so I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
Sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Okay.
No, go down there. Go back to 7.
7.
Jones, he's going back in the 7. Mr. Johnson.
What's your name, sir?
Tizon Jones.
Okay, Mr. Jones, you've been charged with a number of violations. A red light violation, obstruction, felony obstruction of an officer, possession of marijuana over an ounce, possession of marijuana with the intent to sell, possession of a weapon during the commission of a crime, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and possession of drug-related objects. For the drug-related object charge, I've set the bond at $1,500. For the red light violation, I set the bond at $500, but I'm unable at this point to set a bond on the felony charges. There's an indication that you received a 9-year suspended sentence in 2017. And so the statute is 1710-1, which says if somebody's on probation or parole or on a suspended sentence and they're charged with a new felony, I can't set bond at this stage. It doesn't mean that you will be in here forever without a bond. It just means the next stage will be the stage for setting a bond. Or your lawyer can contact the district attorney's office and see if they will consent to the setting of a bond. But that's just something by statute. I can't set it at this first proceeding. I have set a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. and a bond hearing date for March 5th at 8:30 a.m. And those will both be over Zoom. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes.
Okay. How much do you earn per month, Mr. Jones? Oh, I see it. I'm sorry. You do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer. So I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
Okay, for the time being, if I had someone on the outside just hire me a lawyer to get the bond hearing like pushed forward for the next couple of weeks, would that be a problem?
No. If you hire a lawyer, just let the lawyer that I'm appointing know, and they will be happy to just let the other lawyer deal with it. Okay, any other questions? All right, you're free to go back.
Parliament Singleton.
Give me 1 second, Mr. Singleton.
Come on, sir.
Parliament Singleton, I'm sorry. Sir, you've been charged with 1 count of fleeing from the police. They charged it as a felony, improper lane change, and violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, possession with intent to distribute marijuana. I've set the bond at $2,500 for the fleeing charge, at $500 for an improper lane change, and $10,000 for the possession with intent to distribute marijuana, for a total bond of $13,000. So you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Can I make a phone call to see if family could do it?
Yes, they will allow you to make a phone call when you go back downstairs. So, and they do have like a list of bonding companies. So you can either call bonding companies or you can call whomever on the outside that you have to help you. I've set a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. That's going to be over a Zoom call. And would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? You're going to hire yourself, or you're going to represent yourself or hire your own lawyer?
Yeah, you could check.
Okay.
Come on, Mr. Ron.
Huh?
Go down to the office. What's his?
Yeah, no, 6, that's Owen.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. 606. You know what I'm telling you now?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, sir, it does look like you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you.
Hold on.
Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Come this way, sir. Go on the slider, when it opens up on the other side, go to RH1. Tell him your name, sir. Move up.
Anthony Stewart, sir.
What you say?
Okay.
See how you said my bill is 15,000?
Okay, Mr. Stewart, you've been charged with 4 offenses: obstructing an officer, criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree,
Right here, face the wall.
interference with government property, and disorderly conduct. You're gonna have a $2,000 bond on the obstruction, a $2,000 bond on the criminal damage to property, $1,500 bond on the interference with government property, and $1,500 bond on the disorderly conduct. That's gonna give you a total bond of $7,000. So you believe you can post that bond?
Got $700 on me, sir. I work on the street, man.
Okay. The sheriff's office has a list of bonding companies that you can contact. Some of the bonding companies will put people on payment plans, but contacting the bonding companies will give you a sense of how much that they would charge to post your bond. I'm going to give you a preliminary hearing date of February 23rd at 8:30 a.m. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
No, sir.
You said no? Okay, you're going to represent yourself. You're going to hire your own lawyer.
I hope we gotta get a lawyer. You gotta speak up. I hope I can get a lawyer.
Okay. All right. Well, if you don't have any questions for me, you're free to go back.
This way. Sir, you said on February 12th?
February 23rd.
Theodore, Amy.
Mr. Amy, you've been charged with 1 count of DUI refusal, 1 count of improper lane change, and 1 count of driving in the restricted area of the highway. Your bond for the DUI is going to be set at $5,000. The other 2 offenses, the bond is set at $500 a piece automatically. So that's a $6,000 total bond. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date for February 23rd at 8:30 a.m. That'll be over Zoom, but that hearing date will be waived once you bond out. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer, representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I guess I'll hire my own lawyer.
Okay. If you don't have any questions of me, Mr. Amy, you're free to go back.
Okay, if I change my mind and can't afford a lawyer, will it be too late?
You can make the request. I believe they have forms within the sheriff's department that you can make a request for a form to make an application for the appointment of a lawyer.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hold on 1 second, Judge Gardner.
No problem.
So what if I ball myself out? You know about that.
What's your last name? This is Tom? Tell him your name, okay? Say it out loud now.
Donald Barron.
Mr. Behringer, you've been charged with 1 count of battery and 1 count of criminal trespass. Criminal trespass is related to breaking a glass figure on a living room table. I'm gonna set a bond at $5,000 for the battery and $2,500 for the criminal trespass. Gonna also put a stay away provision on your bond to stay away from Shirlene Lee. Do you believe you can post this total bond of $7,500, sir? Okay. I'm gonna set a preliminary hearing date for February 23rd at 8:30 a.m. And that'll be over a Zoom hearing like we're having here today. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes,
Okay, you do qualify, Mr. Bariner. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
I need my medication.
Okay, what's your medication?
Depakote.
Depakote? Okay. Do you have any mental health related issues, Mr. Barringer?
Bipolar depression.
Sorry, say that again.
Bipolar depression.
Okay. I've made a notation on your form that you do have a mental illness, so that the lawyer, for the lawyer to know, and so the lawyer may be able to get either these charges dismissed or reduced, or put you in some kind of therapy program so that you're not in a position where you're acting out. Do you have any questions of me, Mr. Barringer? Barriner?
Anybody contact Mr. Hefner, the place where I live on Garden Walk and Highway 85 called Epic Solution. Let them know.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. I heard something about Garden Walk.
Garden Walk and Highway 85, place called Epic Solution. That's where my counselor and stuff at.
Epic Solutions?
Yeah.
And that's where your counselor is?
That's where I'm living at in the program.
Okay.
I just want to let them know where I'm at. I need a message. They might give a message to me.
Okay. Now, when you go back downstairs, you're going to be allowed to use a phone, but you said Epic Solutions on Garden Walk. That's where your medication is.
Garden Walk and Highway 85.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hold on 1 second.
No problem.
Tell them your name.
Duty CSA, sir.
You said Cisse?
Right, sir.
Okay. Mr. Cisse, you've been charged with violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute. I've set the bond at $15,000 for that. Can you post that bond, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Everybody's going to 3.
You can check
Jones.
if I qualify.
Okay.
Jones. Everybody's going to 3.
Okay, you do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Because these are felony charges, you have a preliminary hearing date set for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And it's going to be over Zoom. Do you have any questions for me, sir?
Yes, sir. Will I be able to call a bill?
Yes, sir. After this process, when they take you back, they're going to allow you to use a phone. But it's not gonna be like you immediately go back downstairs and they're gonna put a phone in your hand. They have their processes, but you will be allowed to use the phone.
Okay. And for
Okay.
yeah, and for my court date, my next court date, you said it's going to be on Zoom, correct?
Yes, sir. It's March 3rd.
I do a lot of traveling. It doesn't matter where I'm at, right?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. You're free to go back.
Thank you, sir.
We tell you, hey, that's how this goes. I know, I'm telling you, you gonna go to church.
Tell me your name, sir. So you've been charged with one count of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, and one count of crossing the guard line with a red bag of marijuana. I've set the bond at $10,000 on the possession with intent to distribute and $5,000 on the crossing the guard line with drugs for a total bond of $15,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir. How much?
15,000.
15,000.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Because this is a felony, I've set a preliminary hearing date for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. That'll be over a Zoom call like we're having here today. But if you post bond, that's going to be automatically waived. Okay. Now, do you plan on hiring your own lawyer, representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
You can see if I qualify.
Okay. Okay, you do qualify, sir, so I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me? Okay, you're free to go back. What's your name, sir?
Yaya Jump.
Please face me, sir.
You got it, face the wall.
Come on, gentlemen, come on. Going to the side, I think it's circle, and if it's not a circle, stand in the middle. Put your hands behind your back.
Did you say Jama? Okay. Sir, you've been charged with one count of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, and one count of crossing the guard line with drugs. Said that you had a purple bag of marijuana. I've set your bond at $10,000 for the possession with intent to distribute and $5,000 for crossing the guard line with drugs for a total bond of $15,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I've set preliminary hearing date also for March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. That'll be over Zoom, but if you bond out, that date is going to be automatically waived. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer, representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Let's see if I qualify, Your Honor.
Lamb. Yeah. She gonna stand right here. Okay?
You do qualify, sir, so I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me? Okay, you're free to go back.
Nope. All right, Your Honor, you should have Salazar left. Is that correct? Is that the last person?
Let's see. I'm sorry. I got a smaller desk now, so
All right.
I have. Let's see. I have paperwork for Claude Jamal Joseph, but yeah, I have a Claude Jamal Joseph.
He was OTB, Your Honor. I'm sorry. He's out.
Okay.
Okay, if you can make a notation of that one, OTB.
Yes. So I have Salazar and Estrada.
Okay, Luis Estrada. Okay, Estrada needed the
interpreter.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Salazar, he's going to need the interpreter as well, but he's on quarantine, so we're going to have to go down to medical for Mr. Salazar.
Okay, I have been trying to reach someone over to see if they could make a call. Because normally what happens is Miss Mary
yes, sir,
contact whomever. There was someone, I'm searching my email because there was someone who contacted me last week and she was not on, I'm sorry, I'm looking at this thing while I'm talking. She wasn't on the list for the link. So I sent her the link for the Zoom call and I'm trying to see if I can find her. Oh, Lord. All right, that's too far. Today is the 13th. I believe it was this Monday. Yes. Looks like her name is Miss Harris. Oh, no, sorry, that's not right. Let's see. Mr. Salazar was arrested on the 13th at 4:42 a.m. And Mr. Estrada was represented on the 13th. So we have time to do for Mr. Estrada. We can do him tomorrow and we can do Mr. Salazar tomorrow. I'll just need to do an order. And then I'm gonna be doing the hearings tomorrow so I can make sure that we have an interpreter, but I don't know who to contact.
Yes, sir.
But I see Courtney is on the call. But if we can have as much lead time as possible to get the interpreter on board, because let's see.
So you think it'll be best to just try to shoot for tomorrow, to put them on the calendar tomorrow to give you time to get somebody lined up?
Yeah, because other than that, we're just going to be spinning our wheels. Hold on. We're going to be spinning our wheels waiting.
Yes, sir.
Let me see. Okay, Courtney said she's going to try to see if she can get an interpreter. So I tell you what, you have to go set up anyway, but you have Mr. Estrada there, right?
I would have to, yes, sir, I would have to leave him, go set up, then come back and set up again.
Okay, let's wait. Let's wait 5 minutes. And if we can't get anything done in 5 minutes, then we'll just have to put them off. Yeah, I don't want to be waiting. It's almost 2 o'clock now. I don't want to be waiting around all day. I didn't get done till 8 o'clock last night.
Sir, I know you had a long day, a long night.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just stand by until 2:05.
Yes, sir, sounds good.
Okay. Well, looks like the law of unintended consequences. Once I said let's stand by, I just got a message from Courtney that the interpreter is available to join and that they just forwarded her the link. So we should have the interpreter on in probably a couple minutes. So let's just stay online. Hi, Ms. Tolles.
Hello, Judge. Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for being available.
Sure.
So here's the situation. We have
Yes,
two
sir.
individuals who are going to need your services.
Yes, sir.
One is here and is ready to go. The second person is in medical.
Oh,
So
I see.
we're going to have to read the script twice.
Okay.
And then after Mr. Estrada, they're going to break it down and take it to medical, and then we'll do Mr. Salazar.
Yes, sir. All righty.
Okay. We're ready, Deputy.
All right, one moment, John, to stand by for me.
Okay. Mr. Estrada?
Señor Estrada,
Can you hear and understand the interpreter?
¿puede usted oír y entender a la intérprete?
Sí.
Yes.
Mr. Estrada, this is your first appearance hearing before the Magistrate Court of Clayton County.
Señor Estrada, esta audiencia es su comparecencia inicial en la sala menor del Tribunal de Primera Instancia del Condado de Clayton.
My name is Brad Gardner, and I'm a judge in this court.
Yo soy el honorable Brad Gardner, soy un juez en este tribunal.
I am not here to conduct a trial of your case or to take a plea in your case.
No estoy aquí para llevar a cabo un juicio, tampoco para aceptar una declaración o acusaciones en este caso.
I am here to inform you of the charges that have been filed against you.
Estoy aquí solamente para informarle de las acusaciones formuladas en su contra.
To advise you of certain rights.
Para avisarle o informarle de ciertos derechos.
To set bail on those offenses that I'm authorized to set bail.
Para imponerle fianza para las acusaciones las cuales tenga la autorización de imponer fianza.
To schedule a preliminary hearing.
Para programar su audiencia preliminar.
And to determine whether you require the assistance of an attorney.
Y también estoy aquí para determinar si usted requiere el asesoramiento de un abogado.
With that being said,
tomando eso en consideración,
you have been charged with driving a vehicle with no license.
A usted se le acusa de manejar un vehículo sin licencia.
And making an improper turn.
Y doblar incorrectamente.
I am setting a bond at $1,000 for the no driver's license charge.
Le impongo una fianza de $1,000 por la acusación de conducir sin licencia.
And I am setting a bond at $500 for the improper turn.
Y luego le impongo una fianza de $500 por la vuelta inapropiada.
Do you believe you can post that bond?
¿Piensa, señor, que puede depositar esa fianza?
Mi esposa ya la pagó la fianza desde anoche.
My wife has already paid the bond since last night.
Okay. I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date of February 23rd.
Le programo la audiencia preliminar para el 23 de febrero.
But that hearing date is going to be automatically waived once you bond out.
Pero esta audiencia quedará renunciada automáticamente, señor, una vez que usted salga bajo fianza. Okay.
Do you plan on hiring your own attorney? Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of an attorney, or do you plan on representing yourself?
Señor, ¿usted pretende contratar a su propio abogado? ¿O quiere que usted vea si usted reúne requisitos para un abogado de oficio o piensa seguir en representación propia?
Yo contrataré mi propio abogado.
I will hire my own attorney.
Okay.
Está bien.
So I'm going to tell you one last set of, I'll give you one last set of rights. And then I'm going to let you go, okay?
Le voy a informar de un conjunto de derechos y luego se puede retirar, señor. Yes.
During this and all other proceedings, you have the following rights.
Durante esta diligencia y cualquier diligencia ulterior, usted tiene los siguientes derechos.
The right to the presumption of innocence.
El derecho a ser presunto inocente.
The right to indictment by a grand jury for most.
El derecho a ser acusado formalmente por el gran jurado cuando se trata de la mayoría de acusaciones mayores.
Or by accusation for misdemeanors.
O que proceden contra usted con una acusación general cuando se trata de infracciones menores.
You have the right to a speedy and public trial by jury.
Tiene usted el derecho a un juicio público y sin demora ante un jurado.
The right to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you.
El derecho a ver, a escuchar y a interrogar los testigos convocados a declarar en su contra.
The right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your behalf.
El derecho de obligar la comparecencia de testigos para que declaren a su favor.
The right to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense.
El derecho de dar testimonio usted mismo o presentar pruebas en su propia defensa.
The right to have an attorney represent you.
El derecho a un abogado que lo represente.
And if you cannot afford an attorney, one can be appointed to represent you if you qualify.
Y si usted no pudiera contratar un abogado por sus propios métodos, entonces uno sería designado para representarle gratuitamente.
Do you have any questions, Mr. Estrada?
¿Alguna pregunta, señor Estrada? No.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Your Honor, he just said something I didn't hear. May I ask him to repeat?
Yes.
Perdón, señor, no lo oí bien. ¿Cómo dice? So my court date is on the 23rd of February?
Once you bond out, that court date is going to be waived and you will receive a new court date in the mail.
Una vez que usted salga bajo fianza, esa audiencia quedará renunciada y luego le mandará a notificar de la nueva audiencia por correo. Okay.
Okay. You're free to go back, Mr. Estrada.
Ya se puede retirar, señor Estrada. Gracias.
Buen día.
Have a good day.
Okay. Ms. Tolles, would you just hang by while they break it down and take it to medical, and then we'll start this again?
Sounds good.
All right,
Thank you.
Your Honor, give me a couple of minutes and I'm gonna have to log off and I'll log back on.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to stop mute my audio and stop my video.
Okay.
We'll be here.
All right. Me too. Thank you.
Judge Gardner.
How you doing, Deputy Knox?
Hey, sir, I'm gonna get Mr. Salazar right here. This is the closest we could get to Mr. Salazar, okay?
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Salazar.
Buenas tardes, señor Salazar.
Can you hear and understand the interpreter?
¿Puede usted oír y entender a la intérprete?
You shake your head, yes, if you can.
¿Puede mover la cabeza para indicar que sí me puede oír?
He said he speaks fluent English. He said he's born and raised. Okay, he speaks, so we don't need a Spanish interpreter.
Right. May I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, you may. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Salazar, I am going to give you information about your charges, and I'm going to do it in sort of a modified way than what I would normally give.
He said he can't hear you.
Okay, Mr. Salazar, is that better? Uh-oh. It froze. Deputy Knox, I don't know if you can hear me, but it froze.
Judge Gardner?
Yes. Okay, it froze for a second. Can you hear me better, Mr. Salazar? Okay, Mr. Salazar, this is your first appearance hearing before the Magistrate Court of Clayton County. You have been charged with 3 offenses, and I've set bond on all 3. The criminal damage to property, I set a $5,000 bond. And that's going to be listed as a felony charge. So for all of these offenses, you're going to have a preliminary hearing date of March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. But if you bond out, that day is going to be waived and you'll get a new hearing date in the mail. Do you understand that? Okay, so I set a $2,000 bond on the obstruction of an officer charge, and I set a $1,500 bond on the possession of tools during the commission of a crime. So the total bond is going to be $8,500. Do you understand that? Okay. Now, I noticed, Mr. Salazar, that you, on your criminal history, that you, I think, was born in New York.
No, sir, I was born in Georgia, Hospital. I was 20 in 1993.
Okay. So what's going to happen, Mr. Salazar, once you bond out, they're going to send information about your court date to the address that you give to the jail. Do you plan on hiring your own attorney, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of an attorney? Okay, Deputy Knox, what did he say?
He said he's homeless right now. He will need an appointment of an attorney. And he said he's jobless.
Okay. So I'm going to find that you qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Like I told you before, your preliminary hearing date is going to be March 3rd. Yes, March 3rd at 8:30 a.m. I'm going to also give you a bond date, Superior Court bond date for March 5th, since you said you're homeless, and that's just in case you don't bond out. The lawyer is going to be in contact with you. I'm gonna advise you of certain rights that you have, Mr. Salazar, and then I'm gonna let you go, okay? Okay, in this proceeding and all other proceedings, while this case is pending, you're gonna have the right to the presumption of innocence. You're gonna have the right to an indictment by grand jury. You're gonna have the right to a speedy and public trial by jury. You're gonna have the right to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you. You're gonna have the right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your behalf. You're gonna have the right to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense. You're gonna have the right to an attorney to represent you. And I just appointed an attorney to represent you. The paperwork is gonna go over to their office today, and then someone will get in contact with you shortly, okay? Also, you have the right to remain silent. But if you give up that right, anything that you say may be used against you if you go to trial. Do you understand that? Okay, any questions, Mr. Salazar?
I just got a phone number. My new phone number, I don't know if I memory, but I give out my email.
Do you know your new phone number?
I don't know if I memory because I just got it. I know my email address.
Okay, well, if you give it to me, I'll write it on the attorney form, but I'm pretty certain if you're still in custody, you're not going to be getting any emails. So do you want me to write this down on your attorney form?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Deputy Knox, would you help translate, or not translate, but amplify what he says to me so I can write it down correctly?
I can send it to you in the chat, sir.
Okay. Deputy Knox is going to send it to me. So you tell her and she's going to type it down and I will have it, okay?
Go on, tell me.
Branch.
Branch?
Yes.
B-R-A-N-C-H?
B-R-A-N-C-H.
Smart?
Power, P-O-W-E-R, @gmail.com.
That's it?
Yes, ma'am.
branchsmartpower@gmail.com.
That's my email, yeah.
You got
Okay.
it?
I got it. All right. Thank you, Deputy Knox.
Welcome, sir. All right, sir. Thank you.
You have a good day.